Pretty good.
All right. Happy Wednesday, VV Nation. Welcome to the Stock Analysis Power Hour. This is where we take time to go over your stock picks. So we're going to let the alert hit. Everyone's making their way into the room right now. If you can see me, if you can hear me, if all the technical issues seem to be working, just put VV in the comment section appropriately. Give me 1 second, Joey. Let me just move this here. There we go. All righty. All right, we got stock picks already coming in. I will say with the major indices pulling back 3 out of the last 4 days, the primary wave is down. Last Friday, I did a video on, when to hedge. Is it getting close to hedge? Well, we're seeing some of that come to fruition. So if you're starting to hedge, if you're starting to tighten up your stop, starting to put, defensive measures such as covered calls, things of that nature, tiptoeing into a defensive position right now, probably not the worst idea. So I will say, as far as buying new positions, you see right there at the top, VectorVest does not advocate buying any stocks at this time. Now, if you're buying a stock, just make sure you stay disciplined. Just know that it could be shorter lived of a trade rather than, buying positions when the MTI was low. If you take a look at the MTI, it did pull back quite a bit right now. It's at 1.44, right? So we saw a little bit of chop in the market. We're seeing that still come into today. So yeah, just have some caution there if you're still bullish on positions, which I know many of you probably are. Nothing wrong with that at all. Just, don't let those profits evaporate. All right, let's go ahead and get into the software here. Let's go to the Viewers tab, create a watch list. Oh, let me get back up here. Forgot this is switched over here. Power Hour, create a new one here, new watch list. 07, hard to believe it's already 16th of July. Summer about halfway over now. All right, go ahead and type in the symbols. All right, we got a couple in right now. Crypto doing another pump today. Jazz, yes, crypto's probably going to run for a little bit. Again, I've said this on videos before, but typically Bitcoin is measured as a, how would you say this without sounding political? Financial irresponsibility by the government, right? So normally when they pass big bills, things like that, if you've ever seen it in the past, Bitcoin, some of the cryptos will run just on that. But there's a lot of, congressional, they've got the stable coins with the Genius Act going on. So as long as there's news with that Genius Act going on, and as long as it passes, yeah, I see crypto rallying right into it. Probably a little pullback maybe after the passing of it, take a little breather there. Nothing too crazy, I would assume. NP, Khaldun, NP. Do you mean MP? Let me scroll down a little bit more here. We got LIF. Even they voted no on crypto bill. Jazz, did they vote no? I did not get an update. I've been doing a video on rare earth stocks, REMX, the ETF, its holdings. That'll be tonight's video at 6 p.m. BTCS, Dell, Hood, TSM. Okay, yep, I had a feeling that was going to be MP. That is in tonight's video. It is a holding, one of the top holdings of REMX ETF. Let's see here. AIRO. Joby. AMD. Great at end of video, no beginning. What are you talking about, Wise? Been trimming Joby options. LWLG. Remember when I recommended it to y'all a couple weeks ago and the guy hosting said other companies were better but insisted on the government involvement? Hate to say it. From a valuation standpoint, yeah, MP was definitely overvalued. A lot of them are overvalued. USAR, definitely like MP better than USAR. Let's see here. Meta we've got here on the list. Meta, REVG, ALMU, CRML, HME. We don't have HME. Oh, that's on the Canadian side? Okay. Why does the top RT sectors box on the homepage is squirreling round and round. You might have to refresh your page, maybe log out, log back in. Let's see here. Mine is squirreling too. Interesting. I will let them know. I'll let them know that. Ryan, the market just took a hit on news that Trump is talking about illegally firing Powell again. That's what's moving the market. Sorry, I haven't watched the news. I haven't watched CNBC or any of that stuff today. I've been focused on this REMX video, doing some editing, doing research on that stuff. Well, I will say that crypto, again, is a measure of the irresponsibility of government. When you're talking about, firing a neutral party, neutral-ish, as far as the Federal Reserve Chair, that kind of impedes on that neutrality, right? So we'll see how the market takes it. I'm sure if he gets fired and we get an interest rate cut shortly after, the market might like that. But otherwise, that distrust there is probably not good overall. Let's see here. Rigetti, RGTI. We got Hood. I saw Hood at like 102 not long ago. ALMU. All right. Last few, and then we're moving on here. CCL. I don't think Trump can fire Powell. I wish he wouldn't say that. We have too much inflation. Yeah, especially with the inflation report coming up. It ticked up from 2.4% to 2.7%. That's not good. And an interest rate cut is only going to put more pressure into that. And I get why they want the interest rate cut. Because think about it, if tariffs do come to fruition and you got 50, 100%, whatever it may be, that's going to slow growth, right? So they're trying to get the interest rate cut, well, at least my opinion, before actually playing hardball on these tariffs. It's hard to play hardball when you can't get that cut, right? Because of high, rising inflation, right? All right, last stock. AMD's already in the list. I will say AMD, be careful, is at the top end of an ascending channel. So I'm curious to see what it did today, because I know it pulled back a little bit from the top end of that channel. All right, let's see what the big movers are here. We've got, how many stocks in the list here? 25. So let's go ahead and just go to 25. 25 stocks. That's a good start here. Top of the list, look, Rigetti up 16%. BTCS up 13% here. Ethereum up. I'm telling you, Ethereum is going to run. I like Ethereum right now. And you just got to look at it on a 5-year chart. Because think about Ethereum, you are not buying at all-time highs like you are Bitcoin right now. I've said, I think it was 2 live streams ago, 2 AMAs ago, where I see kind of like an industry rotation kind of in crypto. I'm not saying Bitcoin's not going to run, but I think Ethereum, don't sleep on it. Please don't sleep on it if you're in the crypto world. So those are big movers, a lot of big movers to the upside. I like to see Hood. Look at this, 100. Was at 102 earlier. See a little bit of a pullback there from the intraday highs. As I scroll down, we got some losers here. AMAT, Micron, Dell. Look at that. Semiconductors pulling back. I'm not surprised here because, again, AMD is at the top of that channel. Let's see. Where is AMD on this list? Oh, did I not add it? Because I know it was in the comment section here. Jazz, staking. Okay, so I own Ethereum. It's actually the only crypto I do own, and I do stake it. It's not an ETF. It's real Ethereum. I've had it for a while now. Last time I bought Ethereum, a couple of years ago, maybe 2 years ago. It's been a while. It's the only crypto I own is Ethereum. So just throwing that out there as far as full disclosure. AMD down. See, not surprised. It's that ascending channel. We'll get in the charts here. So as far as long-term plays, RV, relative value here. Let's see what the long-term is. We got gold at the top of it. Look, I told y'all not to sleep on gold last week. Who watched my market hedge video last Friday? I didn't tell you to go jump out and buy a bunch of contras come Monday morning. No. I said, look at the primary wave, right? We're getting follow through to the downside on that primary wave. Galadriel, what about XRP? I mean, it's got a great community. It's definitely expanding. I'm not going to talk bad about XRP. It's just I don't own our XRP. I being looking into crypto ETFs like XXRP. Yes, that's double leverage. So again, as long as you are okay with volatility, and again, it's usually the best time to buy cryptos when no one's talking about it. XRP is going to replace Swift. Just wait. I've heard the rumors, the Swift banking utilizing XRP. ETH undervalued at the moment. It's hard to put value on cryptos, and there's a different method to it than stocks. You got to look at like wallet growth, activation, volume, market cap. Not to say there's not fundamental analysis on cryptos, but it's just a different ball game than stocks. But yeah, Swamp Thing. I definitely know about the XRP. I'm not going to say it's going to replace Swift, but there are rumors. And if it does, yeah, XRP probably get a good moonshot. I'm not going to lie there. Swift, that's a huge international monetary banking system. If you not familiar with it, that's for international transfers. Let's see here. Other than gold, we got Micron undervalued. That's a good long-term pick. Carnival, rocking and rolling. AMD, TSM, Unity. I like it. Let's see. Look at the safety here. What kind of safety we got? As far as the safest picks, gold again at the top of the list. Kratos Defense, MasterCard, Taiwan Semi, AMD, Tesla at the top of the list here. All right. Let's see here. Robinhood. This is the trend indicator here. So where is the momentum for the bulls? Look, we got BTCS Inc. We got Rigetti, Grayscale Ethereum, Robinhood. Again, Robinhood's going to tie right into the crypto. So this is what this is telling me right here. Risk off, right? The risk off stocks are, taking off right now. So I see at the top of the list, crypto and quantum, right? It'd be a little bit different if I saw, more defense, semiconductors, things like that. So I'm thinking a little bit more of a risk-off approach right now. Let's see what earnings growth rate is. What's the largest earnings growth rate in the list here? 49%. Robinhood, sales growth rate, also one of the highest. But down here, look at this, BTCS. Sales growth rate up 274. Let's see here. Views full stock analysis report. Okay, I had a feeling there was going to be blockchain technologies. I did see a report, interesting enough, from CNBC, and this is a really unique play when it comes to the AI energy data centers. I'm going to the beach tomorrow, so I won't be doing the video this week, but I think next week we've been talking about it. Glenn's even mentioned it before, energy plays for data centers. Well, CNBC was talking about this morning how the AI data centers are teaming up with a lot of these mining companies, right? Look at Bitcoin mining, look at Ethereum mining, a lot of energy intensive projects, right? A lot of energy is used for mining. Well, that being said, a lot of these companies already have existing, permitting and all that stuff needed for the AI data centers. So some of these AI data centers, not going to be surprised, you see some partnerships with some of these crypto companies to get that energy, right? Otherwise, they got to do permitting and all that stuff, and, that could take a while. Ryan, when you say beach, do you mean ocean? Long drive from where you are? No, yeah, I'm going to the ocean. Depending on the beach, it's, there's all kinds of beaches, but they're all about 3-4 hours away, ranging from, Charleston, South Carolina, upwards to Wilmington, North Carolina. They're about 4 hours away. We got a ton of beaches to choose from. I'm going to be just above Myrtle Beach. A little bit more of a quieter area. But we'll see. VV Nation, looking forward to seeing you, Ryan and Glenn, back at it. Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing Glenn as well when I get back from the beach. I think next week I'm going to definitely go visit him, see how he's doing, and hopefully I'll have an update. But as far as right now, all is good with Glenn. So we're just trying to, hopefully, the recovery's going good. Isle of Palms is beautiful, John. Especially if you ever go back to Charleston, check out Folly Beach. Little hidden gem there on the north end of the island is a park. It's a little turtle sanctuary. They got some trees sticking out of the water, the ocean. You can just set up your hammock right on top of the ocean. It's absolutely beautiful, and there's a lighthouse there as well. Again, that's Folly Island. Cool little spot here. All right, let's jump in. We got sales growth rate. Look at these top three here. Don't sleep on them. 230, 274, 336. Woo! Those are phenomenal. Earnings growth rate, it ain't there. But the sales growth rate, give you something to get a little excited about. Let's graph these. Let's see what opportunities lie within the chart here. Almu, Semiconductor. Is this the first day? First day it came out here. We valued $1.48, currently trading at $17.45. We just added this to the database. Who put this in the list? ALMU. Did this just IPO? Even some of the smaller semiconductors I'm pretty familiar with. This one I have not heard of. So I'm going to write this one down, actually. Where's my pen? You know what? I don't know what ALMU does. But there's a quick way we can find out. If I minimize, let's just drag this over here. I'll right click. And we're going to do this order by sales growth rate today. Let's see here. Right, that's because I have more than one highlighted. We're going to view full stock analysis report. This is actually really helpful with ETFs as well. And look, no business description. Yeah, I must have just added to the database here. They don't even have a business description. Anyone want to Google it and put it in the comment section what they do? Breaking news, Trump likely to fire Powell. Ooh. How's the market responding to that? Well, yeah, it went back up. You saw that. Again, like I said, we might see some chop here, but the whole point of firing Powell is to get an interest rate cut. Market's probably going to get a little excited for an interest rate cut. So you might get some short-term chop. Maybe help pull that MTI back. Here's the Dow Jones. Actually, let's go NASDAQ intraday. I want to see what the choppiness looks like here. Oh, move that line. One day. Okay, so this downwards here, I'm not surprised by that by any means. But again, at the end of the day, firing Powell, we've heard this rhetoric before. We'll see if it comes to fruition. But if he does get fired, I mean, the whole point is to get the interest rate cut quicker sooner than later. And we'll see how the market responds to that. But I would think the market might be a little happier with the interest rate cut. But again, as we get closer to the, well, we're only like 2-3 weeks away now from August. For the tariffs, right? So that's why I kind of put out that video last Friday. Get the wheels are turning that, hey, maybe this rally might be coming to an end. At least, think about getting defensive this week with the primary wave down. Market down today. If we look at the NASDAQ, actually, let's look at 6-month chart. Right at that 8-day, if we get a close below this 8-day or much more pressure below this 8-day, especially if the 3 crosses below the 8, hey, a little short-term defensive here, probably not bad. You see where, we got a little bit of a gap between us and the, current price action and the 20-day EMA. So yeah, it could come back and touch it, right? See what happens. So again, just, put that on your radar. Just be careful. Google says, John says, Google says the president cannot fire the Fed chairman. Ryan, do you like Galaxy for AI crypto data center play? I'm not 100% familiar with that company. I'm not going to pretend like I am. So I'm not going to give you a yes or a no. All right. So here is, let's see here. Graph all. Again, first candlestick here, full bodied. Can't say a lot about it just because, but look, negative earnings, value way overvalued, negative growth rate earnings. If you got in this, hey, treat it like a momentum play, stick to the technical, stay disciplined. But it's way overvalued. Here's BTCS, financial company here. Big upper wick, huge upper wick here. Now, as long as price action could really stay above this here, which we are, that's actually where the bottom wick is, where the buyers started to come in. As long as price action stay above this, wouldn't be that concerned. Now, if it starts to drop below this, you can look at the 3, look at Star Search, look at, some momentum technical analysis. But overall, this would be my concern here. It's about 538 because if we drop down, we got a gap to fill. And we got a long ways before we hit the 3, the 8, or even the 20, right? So don't lose all those profits. As far as growth rate, as far as sales growth rate, and pretty decent numbers. I mean, nothing crazy good on the earnings growth rate side, The only thing that's concerning me right now is just the forecasted earnings per share is negative and continuing to drop. Now it's negative 36 cents. 36 cents. Here we've got UMAC, Unusual Machines, is aerospace and defense here. Let's use a 3-month chart. The growth rate earnings is negative, but look, it's on the rise, right? So if we can get that into positive territory, it might be good, but the stock's just, again, overvalued here. Got the 20-day EMA, strong level of support. We got to jump up, come back. If I use a horizontal line, maybe right in here. If we could stay above this, get a nice pivot off this, and back up for the bulls. Otherwise, if we break this zone here around 1074, it's about 1010. We could come all the way back, retesting this 20-day EMA. So right now it's at $11. That EMA, the 20-day, it's at $9.15, right? So if that's not a risk you won't want to take, or you don't want to lose those profits, hey, start to get defensive in the zone here, right? Let's see. You're spending $2 billion on office renovations for Fed chair. $1 billion? $2 billion? I mean, that's like I feel like for a B, I mean, that must be a pretty nice building, or a big building. Again, Keith Jackson exactly should be fired. Bill Jurgens, inflation is still high. Powell said they wanted to bring home price targets down to where they were before COVID. I 100% agree that home prices, if we're not going to be competitive on an international standpoint with such high cost of living, right? That's why we have to put tariffs on everything, because, everything costs so much money here, right? Man, if housing went below, I don't know if it's going to go back before COVID, because that would create a lot of havoc, in derivatives, MBSs, mortgage-backed securities and stuff. But I've said this, I think a couple weeks ago, I was looking at some property, and my mom was selling some property, but prices are on the decline, and not just for a couple months. When we were on Zillow, all the Zillow estimates, they're on most of the stuff we looked at, and again, this is in the Charlotte area, has been on the decline for about a year and a half. So this is nothing new, right? But we'll see. If home prices come down, depending on what side of the equation you are. Hey, but if home prices come down, well, if we get an interest rate cut, that's going to put pressure on home prices, right? People are going to want to refinance, jump in, take advantage of, that interest rate cut. So we'll see. But Robinhood, look at that, man. Lower left, upper right, well above the 20-day EMA, 3 above the 8. It's beautiful. I'm going to treat it like a momentum play. As long as Bitcoin is doing good, crypto is doing good, this is probably going to do good as well. But again, just way overvalued from where it was at. Growth rate and earnings on the decline. Sales growth rate on the decline. The only thing it's got going for is the earnings per share. And look at the RT relative timing. It went favorable as early as April 24th here on the stock. $48. Now it's at 101. 101. If rates go to 10%, there will be no lines and no waiting to get a mortgage. If rates go to 10%, prices are coming down. That's the only reason why they get away with such high prices right now, because the interest rates have been so low, right? So we'll see. Mike says, so is IBIT a long-term hold? Well, Mike, are you in Bitcoin for the long term? That is a personal question you've got to ask yourself. Are you in Bitcoin for the long term? If you're not in it for the long term, hey, throw in like a 20-day EMA. Don't overthink it. There's tons of different graph layouts for swing trading, right? But it's Bitcoin. Unless everyone decides, hey, we're not going to use Bitcoin as a digital asset anymore, which I don't see. I only see more corporations, more central banks, more other entities picking up interest. I know JP Morgan is now talking about their own stable coin, the JP Morgan stable coin. So I don't think this technology is going anywhere by any means, but just like anything with technology, it will evolve over time. My only concern with Bitcoin and Ethereum is they're energy hogs, huge energy hogs, right? And I think that would be the biggest problem going forward with Bitcoin or Ethereum. Just thinking 3 to 5 years out. Thank you, Ryan. No, SoFi was down today. How can that be? 3 to 5 years out. Yeah, not a problem at all. I own Ethereum. So I'm in the crypto realm. I don't really dollar cost average. I bought some a while back, and then I doubled down a while back. And again, this was a while back, but Ethereum hasn't really done a whole lot. I am up in the position overall, but just be careful. And again, if you are just doing Bitcoin or whatever for the long term, it's typically a good time to buy when no one's talking about it, right? Small module reactor solution for Bitcoin mining. It is helpful in that. Yeah, I mean, that is going to be the solution, the small module reactors. But, are they using small module reactors just for mining like they're talking about doing for AI? No. But overall, to increase our energy capacity for AI, mining, other factors, other things that we're trying to do. Yeah, it's definitely part of the solution. I'm not going to say it's the whole solution, but it's part of the solution. We're going to need to get energy from all types of entities, whether it's, renewable, the traditional petros, natural gas, obviously. It's going to be a popular one here. Rod, VVC 3 and 8 crossed down and broke uptrend since April. Okay, we're going to take a look at that here after the chart. But again, I did the video Friday. Tried to keep, I had a feeling the market might pull back a little bit. I'm not saying this is the big drop or anything. But, if you were happy with your profits and you don't want to, go through a pullback, not a bad time to, get a little defensive, right? Trump names Powell as too late, does a terrible job on TV now. He hired Powell. How you go talk all that smack when you're the guy that hired him initially? I'm very neutral. Very neutral. I just think logically. Do you see a comeback for the quantum stocks? I think the potential of an interest rate cut is the best thing for quantum right now, Raphael. And, if he does get fired, the whole point of firing him is to get the interest rate cut. So, yeah, that's probably, I saw Rigetti up quite a bit today, so there might be some, just individual stock news. But overall, for the space, interest rate cuts would be great because, those are growth stocks, right? Wondering how to find more stocks like SMR for energy. Right-click on the stock, go to View Stocks and Industry Group. Or you just Google it. Say, hey, what are, some of the best AI stock energy picks in the SMR category, and Google will probably shoot you some picks and then just put them in a watch list in VectorVest, break them down and see if there's any opportunities. But Kinross Gold, look at this. It's at a channel. It's a huge consolidation here, right? Look for a breakout if you think about getting into gold, right? Especially, we saw gold up a little bit today, but value still in the rise. Price action is flat. So look for that breakout. It's going to be around $16. So if you get much into 16, might be some momentum to play here. But rising earnings, rising sales growth rate, rising earnings per share. I like what I see here at this position. If I go to 6 month, yeah, pretty flat. So if you're not in it, hey, look for the breakout above. Otherwise, you can see the 20-day holding. If we break much below that 20-day EMA, depending on what your goal is, if you're long-term, probably not going to phase you. But if you're a short-term trader, that might be your exit strategy, all right? But overall, I do like Kinross Gold. Micron Technology. So here's my zone. We got to see if we catch the zone, right? I want to see a pivot. Otherwise, I'd be giving up on Micron soon. It already crossed below the 20-day. Even if you drew a trend line here, clearly broke it. But this is the last level of support until you get down here, right? So again, if you're more of a trader, if you're more of a swing trader with Micron, I'd be looking to get defensive. We got rising growth rate earnings, sales growth rate faltering. Forecasted as not bad. Micron's a great stock overall, right? But just in the short term, expect a little bit of a decline, especially if we don't catch this zone right here. I can see the price action going down a little bit more. He calls Powell a knucklehead. Oh, dear. I'm glad I'm not watching that. All right, here's AMD. This is the ascending channel. We had a descending channel. AMD's, that's why I like AMD. It trades pretty easily. It's not a hard stock to trade, especially if you're just trying to play ping pong with it. And right now, we're on the pong side of things. We're coming off of this high, right? So if I extend this up, right, it's going to put me about 140-ish. And it's hovering right around that 20-day EMA. So if we break 140, definitely would be more concerned about AMD. But again, you got to ask yourself where you're happy at with your profits. I don't know where you bought it in here, but I've been talking about AMD. If we use a date line here, especially by this time here, it's probably around, what's the close that day? $90. when it gapped up and broke above this, and by here getting above the 20-day EMA, I mean, it's still not $100. So yeah, you're up quite a bit here, quite a bit. So just, again, I don't know what, if you're long term and you're thinking about AMD for the next couple of years, yeah, a little pullback in an ascending channel, not a big deal, right? But if your whole goal was just to play this swing here, maybe taking some off the table of the swing, you can always get back in down here if you see a nice pivot, right? Just, throwing out some ideas, some trade ideas. Otherwise, if you're a long-term investor, hey, AMD, it's still rocking and rolling to the upside overall. You throw in the 200-day moving average. You think Netflix beat tomorrow? I wouldn't be surprised if Netflix beat tomorrow. I haven't really looked into the numbers yet, but I would not be surprised if they did. Almu offers its devices for use in mobile, automotive, AI, defense, and aerospace communication, as well as laser emitters. Okay. Sell calls on AMD or even bearish call spreads to take the premium. Yes, John, that would be my advice. If you don't want to sell the stock, play some options, play some defensive options, right? Here's another one, TSM, big semiconductor stock. If I look at it, still above the trend line, still above the 20-day EMA, hit a new high. If you are concerned about volatility, again, another one you could play, some covered calls on, right? Here's Life 360, big jump up. Let's go to 3-month chart here. Pivot, we got a nice bounce off that 20-day EMA, starting to roll a little bit. As far as getting in this position, I would take out yesterday's high, right? Otherwise, you could wait to see if it retests this 20-day, get a little bit cheaper of a price here. But again, the stock just way overvalued. Forecasted data, not bad at all, actually. 30% in both categories, above 30% here. Rising earnings, lower left, upper right. It's actually a good stock. Other than it being overvalued, I like the stock. Yeah, no, that's pretty. I like it. One thing you could do, if you're, this was about what, $40 here. Now it's at 69, quite a bit here. Would you consider BTG a pullback opportunity? We'll take a look at that and see. But as far as this stock here, yeah, the value coming at 1187. It's not really moving a whole lot. 1744. It is moving up a little bit, but again, investors right now just willing to pay a premium for this position. Here's MP. We could get a dark cloud cover here. We got a gap up, but if it goes into about halfway of the body here, that will be a dark cloud cover. See if we get follow through. But again, if you miss this big move on MP, this will be my first catching zone here around 43, 47 bucks. Otherwise, the real retest, and if you got some patience, I think it probably could go back down to $39 at some point. I think it's going to want to retest. It's going to want to fill those gaps. It's going to want to retest that prior swing high. So, if you didn't jump into it and you got some FOMO, I mean, ideally, in a perfect world, I could see it coming back down, filling these gaps here, and a nice pivot off 39. We shall see. We shall see. MP does not list their institutional holders. Interesting. I did not know that. Would you consider BTG Lee that my invention for AIMU? All right, let's see here. ASM, silver and gold mine. Look at this. It's pulled back 3 down days in a row. But, I mean, overall, still lower left, upper right. Every time this 20-day price action approaches this 20-day, presents a good buying opportunity. Look, good buying opportunity on the dip. Might be coming again. Again, have some patience. But I'd like to see or get into ASM. If I'm going to buy it, I'd like to get a little bit closer to that 20-day EMA. We missed MP. Oh, well, not going to chase it. Yeah, Bill, I wouldn't chase it. No, don't chase it. Just have some patience. You know me. I talk about rare earths quite a bit. If I see it come back down to that 39 level with a nice bottom wick around that level and to follow through the next day, I'll probably do a shorter or throw it back on your radar. AMS. Look, value on the decline, price action on the decline. This is exactly what I don't want to see. You know my favorite chart pattern? It's very simple. It's very effective. Price action on the rise, value on the rise. Preferably undervalued, right? But this one right here, not it. And look at all the forecasted data on the decline. Ugh. 6 month. Ugh. 1 year. Ugh. I don't know when you got into this or even gave me this stock. But if you bought way up here at 350, now it's at 242, please don't become a bag holder of this. I'm going to put a line in the sand. Like, well, we see the consolidation right here. I mean, there's clear consolidation. We're in that zone. If it breaks above 259, hey, you got some room to run to our value, right? You know, probably break it, maybe retest it, look for the pivot. Otherwise, if we break out to the downside of this consolidation, again, I'm not a financial advisor, can't tell you what to do, but don't let the trade become emotional. That's all I've got to say. You know, I don't know when you bought it, but if you bought it way up here, I do not want you to be a bag holder. I do not promote bag holding. I do not promote dollar cost averaging into a losing trade. If you want dollar cost average into a winning trade, hey, and the only time I would dollar cost average is if I'm opening up a position, right? Not opening up a position and adding to it, trying to, you know, pray that, you know, the stock comes back and I can, you know, make my money back. But no, you know, to fill your initial position, right? But right here, no, there's not much decision, but this is the channel I'm looking at. Look for the breakout on either end. But overall, forecasted data, not bad. Rising earnings too. Hey, it might be a good bottom fishing one here, but again, wait for some confirmation. I'm not sold on it quite yet. Here's MasterCard, lower left, upper right over the last year here. But look, recently, it's retesting that 20-day from the bottom end, right? Now it's a level of resistance. So let's see if we can get above that 20-day for the bulls before getting into it. Now, if you're holding this position, our stop price, where's our stop price? I'm just curious where it's at. 525. See on the horizontal line here. 525 is about right here. Okay, which is good because right now if we create a new swing low here, that's bad for the bulls, right? So that's going to put us right in there. I like it. I like it a lot. All I had, Wise Al See All. I had it added to stock viewer. You should be sitting pretty. Navy and NASA adding to it. Did I tell you they're opening another Kava and it's going to be near me? Glenn hated Kava. We went there one time. He wasn't impressed. Here we got Carnival Corp. Let's go to 3 month. Look at this. Lower left, upper right, value on the rise, right? All the good opportunities here seem to be around that 20-day EMA. Let's see if we could get a little pullback and a little touch on it. Nice little level support. Otherwise, if you want to play into the momentum, take out the prior swing high. The data here, 28 growth rate, sales growth rate, 9%, rising earning, and earnings is actually rising pretty steadily over the last 2 months now. I like Carnival Corp. Not bad. Strong buy rating, not a lot of volatility, not a bad stock. Here's Katos. And Katos, we might get that breakout. I've said this line here. I said if it breaks, well, first this line, which it just broke above. But here it is. If we could get above this trend line, this thing really might just pop. Like, it really might. We were talking about this the other day. Forecasted data looks good, though. 24, 9%, rising earnings. I like what I see. Here's Unity Bank Corp. And look at the valuation starting to tick up. Strong buy rating, price action here on the rise. 3 still remains above the 8, so I'm not too concerned about it. Still bullish on the position. Growth rate, sales growth rate. And this actually looks really good. Rising earnings, too. So, yeah, if you're thinking about a bank to add, it's not a bad position. We got 1 year here. Is that a retest I see on there? Yep. Broke it, retested it, now back up. I like what I see here. Not a whole lot of confirmation on the follow through. Definitely, you know, maybe, well, I got volume here. I can throw it on. Not, well, I guess compared to recently, so you go 3 months. The volume ticked up, but it's been dropping, kind of fading away. So it's getting back above this level of $50 here. So just keep that in mind. Not a whole lot of conviction right now. If we take a look at AMAT, look at another one. Lower left, upper right. Favorite chart pattern. Value on the rise. Nice, strong buy rating. You know, can't complain about this stock. Forecasted data, both in positive territory. Double digits on the growth rate and earnings. Rising earnings per share, favorable RT relative timing. I like what I see. Looks like we're getting a little pivot on this 20-day or closer to it. Might set up another good run for the bulls here. United Airlines has earnings today after hours. Delta previously beat with strong outlook. Does that mean UAL will probably do as well? You know what? It's hard to play earnings right now because I have a feeling a lot of companies, like what we saw last quarter, pull guidance, right? Because of the uncertainty of these tariffs and stuff. And now that uncertainty's only really increased, right? Because now they're talking about tariffs. They got rid of them. They're talking about back on. I'm more focused on guidance right now than initial earnings overall. But, we'll see how that happens. Would love an up market. Yes. Would love it up. We've had it up market. It's been going up. I've been in Chipotle many times over the last 10 years. I'll let you know about Kava. I'm not in the stock at this time. Tariff uncertainty, John says. Yeah, I'm definitely more worried about the forward guidance, especially if we start to see companies. I know we saw quite a few last quarter, but if that goes into this quarter and if that number grows of pulling certain guidance, it's not going to be good for the market, right? So I'm kind of mixed on earnings, and that's another reason why I'm kind of putting the brakes on buying stocks or getting a little bit more defensive right now, just because, I think earnings, we'll see. But, I'm not the most optimistic when it comes to earnings right now, at least in certain company. And it's not the earnings, it's the guidance. The earnings will probably be okay for the most part, if I had to guess. But just the guidance, that's what's going to spook investors or has the potential to spook investors during this earnings season. Dell Technologies, again, lower left, upper right. But this one here showing some weakness, right? That 20-day EMA. If we get a little pivot, see a bottom wick, take out today's high. So follow through tomorrow. Might be a good entry point back in the Dell. But overall, let's see here. Growth rate, sales growth rate on decline, 17.5%. Interesting. Rising earnings, though. I do like that rising earnings per share. That's going to be the engine to drive that stock price even higher, much higher. Bill says, when I am in a leading stock and it falls 15-20%, and the base fails, it's off my list. Kava fell apart. So did Apple. I can agree with that, Bill. Definitely agree with that. Here's Peabody, energy company here. Seeing a little momentum in it as of recent. Let's go to a year here, see what the whole story is. Ooh. Look, valuation. Ooh, look at earnings per share, though. You see the forecasted earnings per share on the decline? Again, that's forecasted data. The analyst lowering those EPS estimates and the stock going down with it, value going down. Right now, negative in both, or one. Sales growth rate's at 2. It's a bottom fishing strategy. Just make sure you stay disciplined. Honestly, on this strategy here, I could just see a nice little uptrend. If thinking about getting into this position, I want to get in closer to this trend line, right? With a tight stop. Otherwise, the valuation is $14.81. So the stock's still slightly about 10 cents undervalued right now. We'll just say fairly valued. Here's REVG. This is rocking and rolling. Value on the rise, price action on the rise. But look, every time, 20-day retest. It's been on a nice run here. But look at the 20-day. Oh, this is the trade setup. This is beautiful. As long as it's not affected by a down market, this might be a little money maker here, especially for my day traders, my swing traders. Look, we got the pivot, 20-day EMA. This candlestick has a lot of reasons to find support here and take off again. We'll see what happens. This is auto truck manufacturing. So, again, I don't know how the tariffs is going to affect this in particular. You can see kind of when tariffs, came back into the picture about 2 weeks ago. It's been on the decline since then. Look for the pivot. The news, the geopolitics, probably the only thing that could ruin this trade setup if I had to guess. But this could be a really good trade setup here. Here we've got Ethereum. Look, Ethereum, my downward trend line. As soon as it broke that trend line, that thing's been off to the races. I had another level here, apparently, 29.97. Gapped up, found that as a level support. Still going up higher. All the moving averages in our favor. Let's go to 5-year chart here. Oh. Yeah, overall, I still like Ethereum. It's rocking and rolling. It's moving. Who's going to the Las Vegas meet? As far as I know right now, is Jerry, Steve Chappell, Ray, maybe Ron. I'm not sure. But I know Steve Chappell and Jerry are definitely going to be there. Ron might be there. But here's IBIT. I mean, again, it's just how you feel about Bitcoin. I'm not here to convince you and tell you the Bitcoin's, the next shindig in the world. But I've said it on this stream many times, as long as institutions, as long as corporations are going to use it, as a treasury or asset, something on their books, it's being adopted, right? It doesn't matter about my opinion. It doesn't really matter about your individual opinion. It matters what the world thinks, right? And the world, for whatever reason, Bitcoin's rocking and rolling. And I've done videos on it on the past, geopolitical videos. I've done market cap videos compared to gold. That's why I think Bitcoin is going to probably go 500,000. $1 million Bitcoin would put it at the same, roughly, not the exact same, but roughly the same market cap as gold with the derivatives. If I remember correctly, I think the gold, what did I say, it was like 12, 14 trillion dollars plus the derivatives brought it to about $20 trillion asset pool. Bitcoin right now is about $2 trillion. I think it's $2 trillion every 100,000, right? So in order to get, $10 trillion, it'd be about $500,000 Bitcoin. I see a strong case for 500,000 Bitcoin. But yeah, overall, this is the ETFs, right? I get forecasted data. As long as that RT remains favorable, it remains above the 20-day EMA, I'm not too worried about it. If you're a long-term hodler, whatever you want to do, look at a 200-day moving average. Look at some trend lines, right? All right, here's Defiance leverage on Monster. This micro strategy here. Hey, not bad, though. I mean, you could see the consolidation. Break out of that consolidation here. And then off to the races. As long as it stays above that 8-day, give it a little wiggle room, I'm here for it. Not a bad ETF to be looking at. Here we've got Ford. Ford is rolling over here. Let's go to 6 months. You can see it drop down again today. Again, Ford's going to be caught in the whole crosshair of this tariff thing. You got to think a lot of parts come from Canada. And, I've seen the news. I'm sure you've seen the news too, as far as, tariffs and, things of that nature, the Trump administration. Probably going to make business a little bit more hectic for Ford. And I'm not sure what caused this gap down today and the continued sell-off. But be careful. If you're in Ford, it just broke the 20-day EMA. 3's below the 8 right now. So I'd be getting defensive. But look at this. Following earnings per share over the last 6 months. Following earnings per share over the last year. Following growth rate. Everything forecasted data here is not good for Ford, essentially. It's negative. Both of them are negative. So as far as a long-term position of Ford, can't get that excited about it. And this big jump up here went up to $14. I think it was like the great-grandson of Henry Ford. I remember he bought into this. I think it was this run here, if I remember correctly. And he's still holding it. I think he bought it around $12, so he's down right now. Now Trump says he is not planning to fire Powell. Ooh, I mean, I don't know, but, all I'm going to say is I ate a taco yesterday. I had some tacos. I had a margarita after work. I was spending time with the family. And all I'm going to say is I had a taco yesterday, Ward. I'm going to leave it at that. You know what I mean? I don't try to get into politics by any means, even though it seems to be getting harder this year not to talk about it. ALAB 52, GRT 144, sales growth rate. These are huge, big leap numbers. You see this, Ryan? Yeah, I saw ALAB. It was it ALAB on the Semiconductor when I did the watch list video? Was that last night? It wasn't in the final 5, but when I resorted by, I think it was earnings per share, I resorted by earnings growth rate, just to bring different fish in the rate, in your radar, put them on your watch list. I know the MTI is high right now, and not the best time to be buying, but it's a good time, see what get the wheels turning. For the market, if the market pulls back, we got to get the next watch list ready, right? The next shopping list ready. Leave it at that, Ryan. Yes, Alfredo, I leave it at that. I don't go down the political road. But as far as ALAB, this is it. You can see my levels here. It's in consolidation zone, 85 to about $100 here. Pretty tight consolidation, so I'm not going to guess which way it's going to go. If it gets much above 100, I'm going to get bullish, right? Just to the adverse effect, 85, I'm going to get bearish. But if we get above this 108, it's going to, it'd be tempted, obviously, finish, well, I think it probably did finish filling that gap there, pretty close to it. but it'd be tempted to approach new prior highs. The only thing I have a problem with A-Lab right now, it's way overvalued, right? I mean, you got AMD, you got NVIDIA, you got Micron, you got great names out there that are undervalued positions, right? So that would be my only caveat to A-Lab, depending on what your goals are. But there are other positions that have, present better value opportunities in the semiconductor manufacturing space. Growth rate earnings 52%, sales growth rate 144. Yeah, that stock is nothing to be messed with here. Let's see here. Graph all. Where are we at here? Did we hit all these yet? No, we did not, because we didn't talk about Tesla. Where were we? Yep, we stopped at Ford. Yeah, I was just curious about the A-Lab. But yeah, that was in the video last night. I was just showing, a good way, a creative way to just find random stocks in an industry you might not be familiar with, Sometimes resorting by some of those indicators, the EPS, the earnings growth rate. You can get some pretty random fish, some good fish too. When you go to the beach, can you leave all this fun behind you for a day or two? It'll be really hard to leave all this fun behind while I'm at the beach, James. Let's see here. Bought some October calls yesterday. Interesting. Okay. I like the idea of options, especially on Bitcoin, especially if your whole point is literally to go to the moon. Well, Bitcoin, even with my target, if it goes up to 500, it's 5 bags, right? So depending on how much money you put into it, you may not be going to the moon, right? Options, you can leverage that a lot, right? So, but you all know options a little bit more dangerous, so just be careful. Ryan has the VV mobile app. He'll be going live from the beach and be having some beers and tacos. Oh, God. Tacos are appropriate at the beach. All right, here's Tesla. Again, Tesla. My biggest caveat with Tesla right now is just, the humanoid robots, the autonomous driving. If this would have came to fruition a couple years ago, like Elon had promised, Tesla would be ahead of the curve, but they got a lot of competition. Some of them are ahead of them. Some of them aren't far behind Tesla, right? So just be careful. As of right now, I'm still going to put Tesla in the overvalued category. I'm not a buy and hold enthusiast of Tesla right now. If you want to swing trade it, you know what chart layouts I look at, make the trade seem logical. But other than that, look, growth rate earnings, -6. Sales growth rate, -9. Falling earnings per share, and the stock is way overvalued. Not to mention, the stock has become political, right? So, again, if you're holding Tesla, it is on you, but me right now, I'd be more of a swing trader of Tesla rather than a buy and hold of Tesla. All right, what time is it? 12:22. You know what? Just because I love you all. Next 5 stocks in the comment section are the ones that are going to get analyzed, and we're going to wrap it up today. So at about half of our Joby calls, I've seen a lot of people talk about Joby. We'll put in Joby in the list. That'll be my honorable mention. I'm going to put in UAMY. That's my honorable mention. It's GHC, AMPX, AAOI, Reddit. Interesting, Reddit. We just talked about AMD, Jerry. And we just talked about Hood. AMD is at the top of an ascending channel, getting rejection from that ascending channel. That's what you should focus on. That is what you should focus on. All right, we got 6. Oh, what was the next one? Hood, AMD we did. Hood we already did. Hood's, as long as crypto's rocking and rolling, Jerry, I'm not going to be scared of Hood right now. Unity Software. The only thing I'm scared about Hood is just overvalued, right? Investors are willing to pay premium. It's literally the platform that caused the whole retail investing frenzy in the first place. So yeah, I'm not surprised that it's, being pumped up, by high retail presence and crypto enthusiasm. All right, so these are the last 5 plus the 2 honorable mentions here. Honorable mentions of UAMY and Joby Aviation. 341, good, because if I go to the portfolio competition here, I'm at 143%. This is the employee contest for the year here. I was in first place last week. Alex giving me some stiff competition. He's at 148, and I saw UAMY breaking down a little trend line. We'll actually just go ahead and jump in the charts now, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. And I'm snagging it up. Well, I snagged it up. So there it is. There's the breakout right there. Jumped up. So I am up in that position about 8% right now in UAMY. I do like the enthusiasm. The buy rating come into place here. And I did see an article yesterday, day before, where China is restricting a lot of the battery export technology, the manufacturing technology, not the batteries themselves, not the equipment, but the manufacturing. You know, the U.S., we're trying to learn how to do all this stuff. Well, China has a lot of this already in place, and now they're restricting exports. And one of the areas affected by that is actually the EU. The EU. EU really, what did it say? Well, Ryan probably felt it would interfere with your golf game. Oh, no, I'm not gloating. I'm not in first place anymore. I'm in second place. But I'm going to get back in the first. And honestly, Alex is in the accounting department, but I like a good challenge. Me and him are rocking and rolling. We're up, you know, he's at 148 for the year, 148%. I'm at 142% for the year. But again, this is an employee contest. This is, you know, a little bit more aggressive style trading, obviously, because we're trying to win. we're trying to beat each other. It's good competition. But UAMY, I like the follow through. I like how value's still on the rise. This was the pivot, that trend line there. You can see right at the zone I had. This would have been the entry. You know, if you want more confirmation above the 20-day EMA, around 250. So, you know, if you got into this off this pivot or, you know, crossing back above the 20-day EMA, hey, what VectorVest graph layout are you using? This is custom layout. And actually, I'll scoot myself over here. Ooh. Scoot me over here so that way you can see. Custom layout on top. I have my usual suspects, 3, 8, and 20-day EMA. I've got value. The 3, 8, and 20, just a simple way, you know, to get a sense of price trend. Nothing too crazy. I could put some crazy indicators on there. That's usually when you overthink it. But other than that, I got the value and I got forecasted data. Growth rate, sales growth rate, earnings per share, and then RT. Just let me know when the bulls are coming back or when the bears are coming back. Jazz says I'm up 50% with UAMY. Nice, Jazz. I like that. But yeah, this is, it's technically a critical mineral, but I still put it in the whole, you know, resources that China has that we need category. But yeah, I like this. This is the best layout in my opinion to give me just a basic sense of the technicals and a great sense of, you know, the company's fundamentals and forecasted data. This just tells me in general, is the stock trending the way I would need it to? And is the stock, you know, is it a good stock in general, right? Because if I have a, you know, if the technicals are all favorable, but it's overvalued and, you know, all the forecasted data is, you know, poopy, as Glenn would say, well, I'm going to treat it like a momentum trade, right? Or not get emotionally attached, right? But yeah, just a good layout to use here. Here we've got Supergroup, SGHC. Great undervalued stock. Again, my favorite chart pattern. Value on the rise. Price action on the rise. Above the 20-day EMA. Yeah, it's... if you notice, at least for the short-term trades, I likes to find a lot of support around this 8-day. You can see most recently here. Pivoting back up today. But yeah, it is extended from the 20-day EMA. So if you got some patience, you know, maybe wait for a retest on that. But as far as forecasted data, all on the rise. Great numbers here. RT still rocking and rolling. I like it. I created the Ryan layout, mostly copying yours. Well, thank you, Bill. The only thing that I will say that's on here that you may not have, the Bollinger Bands. This is the Star Search Bollinger Bands here. This gives me a sense of the fast lane. So if if I put on a stock and find out it's just pure momentum, you know, I'll just add this here. This is the standard deviation of 1. This will help me create that fast lane from the Star Search layout. I got in SGHC when the sales growth rate changed and RT went over 1 and was 10% from a new high. What do you mean when the sales growth rate changed? Oh, this right here? Okay. I added the 1 and 3 STD DV to it. Okay. Yeah. No, definitely. The standard deviation. Yeah, you can do the 3. The 3, you know, is the overextended on a momentum rally. Definitely not a bad one to look at, especially, you know, if it gets overextended. Usually, you know, not always, but there's a good chance that stocks, you know, see rejection of that standard deviation of 3 there. But big bodied candlestick today, strong rating. We haven't had a hold since April. I like the stock in general. Here we've got Joby Aviation, Aerospace, Defense. Forecasted data, not there. Value, not there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to treat it like a momentum trade. So I'll take off my EMAs, and boom, there you go. And look, it's well extended here. So if I have to do that, I might have to switch it over to a star search layout. There it is. It's hitting that band. You see it hit the band, rejection. See it hit the band, rejection. So if you get rejection up here, protected some profits. That's such a big move. You have your own stop in place. I get it. But again, if you just look, you do get some short-term rejection. Not saying that it can't come back. But if you see a pullback here, just be aware that that's definitely a possibility. AAOI, look at this, just lost the fast lane. So if you're in it, I would be getting a little bit more defensive in nature, especially if you're just a short-term swing trader. Let's go back to my layout here. Might use a freehand line. She's a horizontal. Way too low. Way too low. Might break it, but I don't know. Maybe right in here would be my level support. Probably 21, 23. If you're looking for the pullback, if it breaks this 20-day EMA, so we got 2 big down days in a row. It just lost star search momentum. Low value, and the value's on the decline. That would be my problem with Joby. Definitely, AAOI. Definitely treat this more of a momentum play. I mean, the stock was $10 not long ago, and now it hit almost, just over $30 yesterday, right? So just be careful of that. But definitely focus on that star search there. Here's Unity Software. Big gap up today. If I put the horizontal line here, you can see resistance broke right through it. Big gap. But everything else is falling other than the sales growth rate, but which is negative right now. Value's falling. Growth rate's falling. Let's go to a 1-year chart. Hit a low of 15. Now at 33. I do like this. I'm not going to chase it, though, because I feel we might retest this $30 level at some point here in the near future with a gap. Anybody know what this is? Is this news, or do they have earnings? I'm just curious. What happened with Unity? John says, VVT, put your stocks in a portfolio manager, put earnings date right next to the stock ticker, and sort by upcoming earnings date. This way you can get ready for earnings with all of your stocks. That's a great strategy, John. Definitely a good strategy, because earnings could throw you some curveballs, right? Here's AMPX, big momentum stock. Actually, let's go back to where is it at here? Star search. There we go. So let's go to 3 months. So again, hit the standard deviation of 3, a little bit of a pullback, right? Not saying the run can't be over, but expect a pullback if you get there. Right now, we're just kind of flat. Overall, I still like it. The fast lane is going to put a stop around just above $6 here. If we take a look, the upper band is $6.26. That's not a bad stop on here. Our stop price, $4.63. So this is going to much tighter than here, right? So just be careful. But overall, the momentum is still to the upside. DPO is still climbing here. Between Monsterhood and Coin, which would you buy? I am way up on Circle, but sure, it is a good idea to add more of that now. Of those 3, I see. It depends what volatility. If you want more exposure, if you want more leverage on Bitcoin, MSTR. Hood and Coin, yeah, they'll move with crypto, but they've got other underlying businesses. Well, more so Hood than Coin. Circle was the U.S. stable coin that was kind of news driven. I'd probably choose MicroStrategy, MSTR over Hood and Coin. Probably Hood and MicroStrategy. Coin I would leave third. But either way, sure. The MTI is still high. The primary wave is down. I'm more concerned about protecting profits on existing positions than I am opening new ones right now. Especially, if I'm thinking more longer term on these new positions, I'd wait for that MTI to come back a little bit more. You probably get some a little bit better buying opportunities. Again, I've said it a million times. I think the best time to buy some crypto, crypto. Yes, MSTR being over. That's why I was kind of like, ugh, on all three of those. I don't really like MicroStrategy because I added up all their Bitcoin. I think it was like the Bitcoin was like 80 billion. At least when I did the video, the market cap was like 140 billion. So there's like $60 billion out of nothing. Well, from the existing MicroStrategy business, I think I added like 10 or 20 billion of worth of that. But anyways, between the Bitcoin and their existing business, it wasn't even close to what the stock price is. And if Bitcoin falls, MSTR is going to fall a lot faster than Bitcoin. Me personally, I like the cryptos. I'd rather just play the cryptos in general. And if you don't like cryptos, they got the ETFs for the cryptos. I am up 23% circle in my fund account. Nice. Meanwhile, it all purchased on debt. Yes, it is all purchased on debt. Their Bitcoin buying strategy. And I've said it before, I don't know when, but there could definitely be a derivative bubble when it comes to these cryptos. And I think when that bubble burst, because again, they have things like crypto winter, and crypto can be very volatile. And if, certain institutions didn't quite put in or calculate that volatility or whatever in their formula, it could create a derivative bubble. And that would probably be the next best buying opportunity, at least for the long term. If you're short-term swing trading, just keep playing the momentum to the upside right now. Don't overthink it. Use a 3 and 8. If you're a quicker swing trader, use a 20-day for a little bit more intermediate. And if you're if you use a 40-day or 200-day, just depending how long you plan or how active of a trader, or if you're thinking more of an investment strategy. But Reddit, look, it lost its fast lane privilege not too long ago. I'd look for the retest here, and we still have this gap to fill. It's around 127 right now. It's at 140, and if we break this lower band, typically candlesticks like to hug onto it to the downside. So we'll see what happens. All right, what time is it? Okay, 12:36. We got to get out of here. Smack this. I'm up 42% on hood. What would everyone put as a trailing stop now? Me personally, I usually like a 15-20% trailing stop, especially if you're getting to something a little bit more volatile. Hood, you could, if you just do like a 10%, you could probably get pretty stopped out pretty easily on hood. It depends if you take some profits off the table, you could potentially expand that trailing stop a little bit, give you a little bit more wiggle room since you already took some profits off the table. But again, when it comes to buying and selling, this MTI, it's pulling back. Primary wave is down right now. Markets are mixed, right? Again, not going to be putting too much emphasis on buying existing positions when I know a lot of your stocks already, and my stocks, from this last rally are up big, right? And I'm more worried about protecting those stocks that are up big right now than adding more stocks to worry about, as the market's actually pulling back, I know one day's not a trend, but we've got 1, 2, 3 primary wave down days out of the last 4. So just be careful. I'm up 150% with hood. I'm keeping it for the long haul. Jazz, I don't blame you. Yeah, but that's the thing, Jazz. You know that you are keeping it for the long haul, right? And I don't think hood's going anywhere. I mean, hood is in Coinbase have essentially become the Wall Street of crypto, right? And if crypto, as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, Robinhood and Coinbase are way ahead of the curve right now when it comes to being a broker. All right, but yeah, just MTI is pulling back 1.48. Everybody, I will see you guys in the community room. We got AMA, 2 o'clock today. Stick around. We got a fun-filled hour for you. And then next week, we've got some special guests. Just a heads up, Monday, I think it's going to be Jerry for midday market update with me. And then on Wednesday, I'm hoping to get Steve Chappell. Or wait, no, Monday, I got Ron in the house. We got the options master. So definitely make sure you come out midday market update on Monday. And then next Thursday, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Steve Chappell next Wednesday will be Steve Chappell with me, okay? All right, everybody, have a good afternoon. I'll see you.